The Cabinet Secretary will be attending NFU Cymru's conference in 2 weeks' time, and I'm sure she'll have seen the advance press release from John Mercer, the Director of NFU Cymru, in which he says that the Union firmly believes we can make a success of Brexit if our collective focus is centred on supporting our industry to meet the challenge of feeding a growing world population with safe, quality, affordable food. I'm sure the Cabinet Secretary will agree with me that it's vitally important that farmers in Wales should have a firm idea of what the legislative framework for agriculture will be after we leave the European Union, and therefore it's vitally important that the Welsh Government should make its framework decisions, at any rate, as soon as possible, and make them public. This is a great opportunity for Welsh farmers, as John Mercer says. Could the Cabinet Secretary give us some firm idea of the time it will take her to develop at least a framework agricultural policy that she can make public?
Thank Neil Hamilton for his question. Yes, I certainly am attending the NFU conference. I think it's early November or late November. That's right. So I'm looking forward to that very much. I'm not sure I've actually seen the press release that you refer to, but certainly I engage frequently with the NFU, and I'm very aware of their views around opportunities as well as the challenges that we're facing. There is a huge amount of work going on by my officials in relation to frameworks, possible legislation, also discussions with their counterparts. So I know all the senior officials met last Wednesday here in Cardiff from the Four Nations. You'll be aware of the ministerial engagement that I have. We now have another date for our monthly meetings. Unfortunately, October we haven't had one with the DEFRA Secretary of State, but we are meeting again, unfortunately again in London, on November the 6th. But it's really important those discussions are ongoing. In relation to a timescale, I would imagine that we'll be starting to be able to make that public maybe early next year. But again, it's a huge amount of detailed work being undertaken at the current time.
I fully understand that. No one underestimates the vast scale of this project. But it is vitally important to us and the UK government in the context of the current negotiations going on in Brussels also, because if we are to get the best possible deal which is available out of the EU, they need to know that we're fully prepared for no deal. The more, therefore, that we can make public in advance will help us, I think, to get a reasonable deal out of the EU if they are rational about it. The fundamental basis of the current regime is the basic payment scheme, and UKIP's policy is to continue a variation of that, but to cap payments to £120,000, so we end the discrimination in favour of larger farmers and agri-businesses, and we give more support to smaller enterprises. And we also believe there should be a 25% uplift for organic farms. Given the nature of agriculture in Wales being very different from England, we don't have the vast prairie lands of Lincolnshire and so on, it should not be difficult for the Welsh Government to come to broadly similar conclusions. So I wonder if she can give us any indication on at least the basis of a future agricultural policy.
I think you raised a very important point at the beginning of your contribution then about having that best possible information. I think it's really important that we share information also. And certainly, I'm very happy to share information with my ministerial counterparts, and I think we are starting to see more of that. In relation to being fully prepared for a no deal, well, I don't know how you can be fully prepared for a no deal. I don't actually understand how you can have a no deal, because leaving the EU, to me, is like a divorce. Now, you can't have a no deal with a divorce. You have to have a deal of whatever description. You have to have a deal. So all this talk about no deal, I'm completely perplexed as to how you can have no deal. And I think it's absolutely the UK's governments should be their top priority that they get the best deal possible. And that's what we're pushing for the people of Wales. In relation to your proposals, again, I'd be very happy to look at what UKIP's proposals are for future farming post-Brexit.
Obviously, we all want a deal if one's available, but it takes two to tango. And if the EU are not prepared to do a deal, they're not prepared to carry on talking until we pay the ransom demand, then that's what a no deal looks like. But that wasn't the purpose behind my question today, is to look at the future of Welsh farming and fishing. And further to Michelle Brand's question earlier on, What UKIP would like to see to restore life to our fishing and coastal communities is an exclusive economic zone all around the United Kingdom and obviously in our Welsh waters under the control of the Welsh Government and halting equal access to these waters by European fishermen, to have no-take zones to aid spawning and replenishing of fish stocks. Yes, we might have foreign trawlers able to access our waters, but with permits, and to ensure that all fish caught within UK waters, including those taken by foreign vessels operating under licence, are landed and sold in the UK to help finance and attract investment in the newly developing fishing industry. So I hope the Cabinet Secretary sees that we can make a positive contribution towards this debate in a non-partisan way, and I think that there is scope for doing that with all parties in this Assembly.
Yes, absolutely. I've just mentioned to David Meldon, I'm very happy to look at anybody's ideas, of course, and certainly I want to have a very positive fishing and fisheries policy. I think, talking to the fishing industry, and we're just starting now to get our negotiations ready ahead of the Fisheries Council in December, they do feel very badly done down by the EU. There's no two ways about it, certainly talking to the Welsh fishing industry. So it's absolutely right that we get that Welsh fisheries policy correct. So, yeah, very happy to look at any ideas you want to bring forward.
Question 3.